Hey everybody, welcome back to the Ultimate Men's Hairstyle Guide. So far we've covered the buzz cut, crew cut, textured crop, quiff, pompadour, and slick back. Today we're taking a look at one of the most talked about hairstyles of the last few years, the modern mullet. You've probably heard the saying, business in the front, party in the back. The funny thing is that that's probably still the best way to describe it. The difference is that today's version looks like the party hired a really good barber. So let's take a closer look. What is the modern mullet? The modern mullet keeps the classic formula of shorter hair in the front and the sides while leaving more length in the back. But today's mullet is a much cleaner and more refined version from that of the 1980s. Most modern mullets feature a low fade, burst fade, or even a taper, along with plenty of texture on the top. The result is a hairstyle that feels stylish and intentional instead of outdated, quite a bit different than the previous version, right? So let's look at a few more pictures here and we can see some variation in these hairstyles. Some are more modern and subtle, others are much more dramatic, and some work really well with curly hair, for example. Others look great with straight or wavy hair. Some feature that burst fade that I talked about, and others just have a real simple taper going up to the longer part of the top. The important thing here isn't copying like one specific haircut. Instead, pay attention to the overall shape, the amount of texture, and how much length is left in the back. Those are the details that you'd want to discuss with your barber. So the mullet's been around for decades. It's become popular in the 1970s and 80s and worn by musicians, athletes, actors all over the world. And then for a while, it almost disappeared. But over just the last several years, barbers have completely reinvented it. So today's modern mullet combines classic inspiration with modern fading techniques, textured styling, and creating a haircut that's become surprisingly popular again. It works really well with oval faces, square faces, diamond faces, and it can work well with round faces as well because of the added height and texture to help create more of a balanced appearance. As with any hairstyle, a skilled barber can adjust the proportions to meet your dimensions a little bit better. Okay, so the best hair types, it's going to be more thick hair, medium density hair, wavy hair, and curly hair. Straight hair can still work, although you're going to have to do some more styling with product just to kind of create more of a textured and sort of balanced movement across your hair. So some of the pros is that, why is it so popular, right? There's got to be pros, right? First, it's different. It stands out without being over the top. It creates a lot of movement and texture. It pairs really well with fades. And it's one of the few hairstyles that lets you show some like real personality while still looking well groomed, right? Some of the cons, I mean, it's not for everyone, right? It's like I mentioned, like a professional environment might be a little bit difficult sometimes. But the modern mullet is definitely one of the more fashion forward hairstyles that we've covered, especially compared to like the crew cut, buzz cut, some of these really more classic men's hairstyles. This does need regular trims to keep the fade looking fresh while still maintaining the shape and texture on the top and bottom. So it is a bit more work. From a styling perspective, it's really pretty simple to style. Just start with like towel dried hair, apply some matte clay, styling cream, or some sea salt spray even. Then use your fingers instead of a comb. The goal is to have more of a casual look with it. It's not going for perfection. The goal is really natural movement and texture. In fact, if it looks a little too perfect, or if it's a little too brushed or combed, you're probably over styling it. It's not going to look right. So when you go into your barber, there's a couple of things you're going to want to tell them. Just tell them, firstly, you want a modern mullet. At this point, I think most barbers are familiar with that and what that, how that differentiates from like a 70s or 80s mullet, right? Tell them you want a low fade or burst fade. Leave plenty of texture on the top. Keep extra length in the back. Again, you can choose your length at your discretion. There's quite a bit of variability here. But you're going to want to blend everything naturally and keep the mullet shape really obvious, right? So there is a very defined shape here. And whenever possible, try to bring reference photos. Again, if you're looking for any of those specific attributes, there's plenty of pictures online. I always bring pictures in when I get my haircut just to set the baseline, and then I start dialing it in with the barber to make things work with my sort of my head and face shape, as well as what I have available for hair at the moment, right? So pictures are always very helpful. All right, so let's go into the hair score for the modern mullet. Style, definitely a 9 out of 10. I mean, I like it. I think it's great. It's one of the boldest and most recognizable hairstyles today. From a maintenance perspective, it's not too bad. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It does take regular trims to keep the styling as well as keeping the fade in line. Professionalism, I'm only going to give it a 5 out of the 10. Like compared to like a buzz cut, slick back, or crew cut, this one really depends on your workplace, as I mentioned earlier. Some offices won't think twice about it. Others, maybe not so much, right? Versatility is 8 out of the 10. There's a lot of variation, ranging from subtle to modern to bold that we talked about. And it does work for most men. I'll give it a 7 out of the 10. If you are confident and you like standing out a little bit, this hairstyle can be an excellent choice. So overall score is like 7.5 out of 10. It's fun, unique, surprisingly versatile. And if you're looking for something that breaks away from the traditional hairstyles we've covered so far, the modern mullet is definitely worth considering. So that wraps up today's episode for the modern mullet. Next time we'll cover another timeless classic, the side part. We'll talk about why it's remained one of the most popular professional hairstyles for generations and whether it's still relevant today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and let me know in the comments. Would you do a modern mullet, or is this just not your style, and why would you make that choice? Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.